Hey guys, welcome to day 78. Gosh, 78, yeah, I had to double check because what? How is that possible? So today, guys, is gold. And I don't say that for every one of these, but this one, good. All right, so I'm diving in because this one is just amazing. And I just can't wait to share it with you because you're going to love it. So this one is called What Making a List Can Do to Change Your Life. So this one just, it speaks to me. You know how some people are list makers and some people aren't? List maker. All right, so the more you write things down, the more, hi Nikki, the more you can dictate your own future. Some people overcomplicate lists and say that they kind of make things trivial. I mean, who are these people? They think lists make things trivial? No, just stop it. But the opposite is true. Lists make things come alive. You guys, isn't that awesome? The author, Stephen Chandler of this book, he has a friend who struggles with the blues, the seasonal blues. Anybody relate to that here in Ohio? And when his friend is feeling down, he likes, or he feels like he's not where he thought he'd be in life, or just having a bad day, he refers to a list that he keeps in his briefcase. And he proactively has created this list for himself, where he wrote down every characteristic and accomplishment that he could remember in his life that he was proud of. And he said that by seeing all those things written down and letting myself read them one at a time, I can change my entire attitude from being discouraged to feeling positive about myself. Y'all, okay, do that, all right? I can only say do that because I've done that. And I didn't even realize it was going to be something that was in a book. But what I mean is, part of my therapy practice, I teach women how to journal this and how to have, kind of rainy day journals. So that way when you have a cruddy day, you can reference back to how awesome you are, okay? Because I'm sorry, but there's some nuggets inside of you. Writing lists of goals and objectives is a powerful self-motivator. It's one thing to go into a meeting. He's talking about going into meetings. It's one thing to go into a meeting mentally briefed on what it is that you want to accomplish in the discussion. But you'll feel even stronger had you written out what it is that you wanted to talk about. There is something about writing something down, and there's a lot of research on this. This was a huge part of my life coach training. There's something about writing something down that makes it more real to the right side of your brain. And y'all, I could preach on that particular point for a day, but I won't bore you. Just know that there's evidence to support it. So here's an example that the author gives in the book. He has a really good friend. His name is Fred. And he and Fred like to, on occasion, yes, Sandra, oh my gosh, Sandra, you need to come to the class I'm doing next weekend on the vision board. Girl. Anyhow, his friend Fred lives in another state, and on occasion, like on a monthly basis, can you guys see me? I want you to see me without seeing the mess. On a monthly basis, he and Fred get together, and Fred always shows up with a list of things that he wants to talk about because he's able to, the two of them, you know how you have a friend who you just can talk about everything and it's just back and forth all the topics? He keeps a list, and by doing that, they have come up with and accomplished great things in the one day that they get to spend together on occasion. This was a lot of this chapter, so believe me, I just saved you a lot, but I thought that was brilliant. So let's get back to this. Have you ever tried shopping for a large event that you're hosting without a list? So it's a recipe for certain failure in terms of getting all of the items that you need. So imagine if you're having a birthday party or Easter dinner at your house tomorrow, and you have all the things that you need and you just keep them in your mind and you go to the grocery store. What happens? You forget half of the crap. Okay, it's going to happen because as soon as you get in there, it's just squirrels everywhere. You just see all the other things you want. And so, especially if you don't have a plan on what you're cooking for dinner. So what do? You create a list, you create a menu. You go through and see what things you have, what things you don't have. So if we know to make lists for when we're planning an Easter dinner or something, why do we not take more time to apply the same fundamental knowledge to our own lives? I mean, come on. We take more time planning a picnic or an Easter celebration than we do planning our own life. Does that nudge anybody? Isn't your life as important as a picnic, or isn't your life as important as Sunday dinner with your family? Start by making a bucket list. Y'all have heard of or seen that movie, The Bucket List. Make a bucket list of all the things you want to do before you kick the bucket. Keep it near and add to and take from it often, just as you would a vision board. The same is true for good friends. So he advises us to, he said the same is good for friends whom you want to stay close to, because friendship is so precious. Why let it be forgotten? It sounds silly to make a list of your friends, but you'll be surprised at how much it reminds you about who it is that is important in your life, and it motivates you to stay in touch. Y'all, I need to do that, because if some of my friends are watching this right now, you know your name is probably on that list and be watching. I'm going to be sending you a message. We don't have to wait to become famous so that somebody else might write our history. We can write our history while it happens. And when we list our goals, we're editing our history before it happens. Hello, tweetable right there. So when we list our goals, we are writing our history before it happens. You guys, this could change your life. So he goes on to talk about a legendary friend of his, whose name I can't pronounce. His name is David somebody, who started his own ad agency. And at the beginning of his ad agency, he had made a list of all the clients that he wanted. And at the time, they were all of the big advertising accounts in the world, and he had none of them. But in a sense, he did have them because they were on his list. He said that it took time, but that he eventually got them all. A goal gains power when you write it down, and more power every single time you write it, because there's a lot of evidence. If you've been following me these last 70 whatever days, you know I've talked to you so many times about the power of writing your goals every day. So it gains more power every single time that you write it down. What motivates you most in life ought to be your own handwriting. People all too often look for motivation in what other people had written. And if you become a good list maker, I say, and journaler, you will learn how to motivate yourself by what you have written. Okay, so it's just like Glinda the Good Witch saying to Dorothy, you've had the power all along. You're just not shutting the world off to listen to the wisdom that you were born with inside of your head. You got all the answers. Get some time alone with yourself. Goals that are not written down are just wishes. List, creating these lists like he talks about, this costs nothing but thought time. Buy a 97-cent notebook from Walmart. Get a good cup of coffee and start making your future happen. One goal at a time. When you have a goal, you have a vision. Where there is no vision, the people perish. And that's biblical, y'all. So there you go. Get your paper, make a list, and start making your life the great thing that it's meant to be. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
I had a cue.
You had a cue?
I had something I wanted to say.
You had something you wanted to say on my Facebook Live? What's it about? It's still on. What did you want to say on the Facebook Live? You're not going to talk now?
No.
It's on! Okay, here's your cue. Everybody, Landon has something to say. I don't know where this is going to go. What, Landon?
Did you know Jesus died on the cross?
Yes, Jesus died on the cross.
And I had this little crossword, and he lives in this little house.
Yes. All right, you want to say goodbye to everybody? Oh, sorry.
Bye.
No, stop it, Landon.
Bye.
Oh, boys,